Hello, Professor Tran. This is Neeraj Penamaka, and today I'll be presenting Alice Walker. Alice Walker was born on February 9th in Eatonton, Georgia, and this is a childhood picture of Alice. She is the youngest of 8 children born to Willie Lee Walker and Minnie Tallulah Grant, and this is her parents right here. She started first grade at the age of 4, which is a year earlier than normal because her mother had to work long hours to support their family, and there was nobody at home to watch Walker. She went to East Putnam Consolidated, which is a school her father helped establish in 1948 with the hope that she will receive a strong education to support their family. Her teacher, Miss Reynolds, found Alice's intellect and interest in the classroom, and this led her to new heights. On the summer of 1952, at the age of 8, Walker suffered an eye injury when playing cowboys and Indians with her brothers, where her brother Curtis accidentally shot her with a BB gun. This is how a BB gun looks. This injury created a white scar that blinded her right eye, bringing down her confidence. She did not get immediate treatment as her brothers lied to her parents. When they found out, they used natural remedies before taking her to the eye doctor, who said, since eyes are synthetic, she might go blind in her left eye as well, and provided eye drops. This incident left her right eye permanently blind, which you can clearly see in this picture. This affected her self-confidence and led her schoolwork to suffer until she became fully aware of how to deal with this condition. So, coming to her adulthood, she graduated from Butler Baker High School in 1961 as valedictorian, most popular student, and queen of the prom. She attended Spelman College in Atlanta, Georgia, which was financed by a rehabilitation scholarship she received and $75 she received from her community. In 1964, she attended Sarah Lawrence College in Bronxville, New York, where she majored in literature and studied Latin poetry and history after withdrawing from Spelman College. Here in Sarah Lawrence College, she met Muriel Rukeyser, who guided her work, introducing her to a larger audience, and this was when she started supporting the civil rights movement. She graduated from Sarah Lawrence College in 1965 and met Mel Leventhal, a human rights lawyer who she married in 1968. They had a daughter, Rebecca, before they divorced in the early 1970s. And this was around the time Walker's first book was published. Mel and Walker became the first legally married interracial couple in Mississippi. And this is a picture of Walker with her daughter and her husband. So now let's go to the 4 works of Walker I'm going to describe in the presentation. So the first work is The Third Life of Grange Copeland. This was published in 1970. The book is about the migration and return that considers the possibility of a utopian vision of sustainable life for Blacks in the rural South. So pretty much this book is about the life of a sharecropper family and the struggles they face as the battle for civil rights becomes more and more fierce. The second work I'm going to talk about is Everyday Use. This is a short story published by Walker in 1973. The short story is about a mother waiting to meet her older daughter, Dee. So in this waiting process, she gets visions and memories of her daughter and compares them with her younger sister, Maggie. So when Dee arrives with her partner, her mother is surprised to find several changes in Dee, as she now goes by the name Vangiro, and she wears a disciplined dress. The story ends with Vangiro and her mom fighting for quilts made by her grandmother, which she planned to give to Maggie because ever since Vangiro went outside the house, she started adapting a more disciplined lifestyle, and this led her to change her beliefs and her practices. This kind of caused the fight between her mom and Mangiro. So the third work is The Color Purple, which was published in 1982. This book is a Pulitzer Award winner about a poor, uneducated 14-year-old girl named Celie who writes letter to God because her father beats and rapes her. She becomes pregnant twice, and her father steals the babies that she gives birth to and kills them in the woods. Her mother becomes ill, and her father brings home another woman, continuing to abuse Celie. The book is about the self-realization of the character and how she becomes independent as its oppression continues. And this book was adapted into a movie by Steven Spielberg in 1985 starring Oprah Winfrey, and the movie went on to win 4 Golden Globe Awards. The final work of Walker I'm going to describe here is Possessing the Secret of Joy. So, Possessing the Secret of Joy. This book is about Tashi, who is a tribal African American woman, and she's also a minor character in the book I mentioned before, The Color Purple. And she marries Adam, who is Celie from the previous book, her son. The book describes her experiences after she is circumcised, and this horror incident kind of damages her, and like she's stuck in this depression where she's reaching out to psychiatrists to like find like a cure or like a way to get back to normal. And in the book, Walker includes several monologues, which are like visions Tashi experiences. And a vision she experiences is when her sister Dura puts a burned twig in her mouth, and the adults that are nearby did not help, and this causes her to cry in pain. So now let's analyze the 4 works I talked about and relate them to Walker's life. So in the first work I mentioned, The Third Life of Grange Copeland, there's an incident in the book where a husband kills his wife and her mother, and this is inspired from a real incident that took place in Alice's hometown. And now let's look at the short story Everyday Use. So in that short story, the younger sister Maggie relates to the earlier stage of Walker's life because they both have issues with their face. Alice is blinded by her brother when he shoots her during the game of cowboy and Indians, and Maggie suffers from injuries from a house fire with conditions such as chin on chest, eyes on ground, and feet in shuffle. So in The Color Purple, there's a character named Anna Julia who was inspired from Walker's grandmother, who was murdered by a man who wanted to be her lover. Another character from the book, Sophia, is also blind in one eye, just like Walker. And Nettie, who's also another character, had experiences in Africa, which are inspired by Walker's own experiences she saw there as an exchange student in the summer of 1965. So in Possessing the Secret of Joy, the circumcision done to women in Tashi's tribe was an incident that struck Walker during her time in Africa, and this caused her to become feminist and a social activist and argue for African American women. So she took a stand and expressed all of her thoughts through this book and the dark setting. So now let's look at the ways on how Walker educates outsiders through these 4 works. So in the first work, she portrays the struggles of sharecroppers through Grange, and she also shows some of the struggles her parents as sharecroppers faced while facing poverty, just like Walker's family, which led her mother to work long hours to support the family. And then they were also engaged to alcohol, just like Celie's father in The Color Purple. And this led him to like start abusing family members through the influence of alcohol. So in Everyday Use, in the short story that you get several descriptions, which according to a peer editorial I read, the author says that they're descriptions Walker gives makes the reader feel that they are on the scene watching it happen, and they are seeing it happen in front of them so that they can clearly get an idea of how serious of an incident and how the incident is just like any other incident we face in our everyday lives. And in The Color Purple, there's a connection to Buddhism because Buddhism is pretty much when Siddhartha Buddha meditates and he like has a self-realization stage. And in the book, the character Seely is also in the same stage where she's trying to get away from everything around her, like the oppression she faces and like the and and the struggles she faced so far, and like the children she lost. So she's trying to get away from all that. And Walker also practiced meditation for 30 years, just like Siddhartha Gautama, who is the founder of Buddhism. So this whole belief of Buddhism just relates to like the message the book wants to give. And in the last book I mentioned, Possessing the Secret of Joy, Walker wants to expose this whole conspiracy of circumcision, because circumcision, it's like it's painful, but at the same time it's something that like it's a sensitive matter at all. So she wants to like stop all this because circumcision is something that's like common in most countries of Africa, the Middle East, and some countries in Asia. So through this book, she wants to stop this whole practice as it's painful and the effects of it are pretty serious. And thank you for listening to my presentation, Professor Trent. I truly enjoyed your class, and thank you for making my experience in this class fun and engaging at the same time. Thank you.